Welcome to episode 33 of the Global Exclusive Podcast. I'm your host, Hazard. I am joined this week by Baros, Cotton, Dream, Muspel, Shadow Walker, and a special guest, TomAto. You guys know him from the post-poll depression Reddit posts that he has been doing faithfully over the last couple of years. Wait, I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry. You say they've been canceled? Oh, no. Okay, well, never mind. Ignore that. He's definitely not going to be here. All right, this week we've got Awakened Dragon Akstar, a NVA version of Pyroglacial Lastwell, and then we've got Shinju and Peccadilly.
I think it's
Piccadilly.
Teddy bear?
Yeah, it's a
Peccadilly.
I'm on Pedo Bear with Cotton on this one.
I did not say that, okay?
What? You 100% said Pedo Bear. Okay, someone back me up. She said Pedo Bear, right?
Nope.
Definitely. Just you, Bears.
Nope.
And he hangs out with Shinju, who is a teenager.
Yeah. It's like 100%.
Okay, I see where you're coming
there,
from,
and
but
then
no.
Pechoda is peeking out.
Then again, teenager who is very into whipping.
Yeah.
Oh god.
And why
Freaking Zoomers.
Why is it only the girls with the whip in this game? We have Dark Fina.
Bart.
Yeah, where's Indiana Jones?
Bart's
No,
DM is a whip.
Bart's a collab character. He doesn't count. That's Xenoblade.
Diego.
Collab characters have rights
Yeah,
too, you know.
Yeah, Ego's a she, isn't she?
Yeah,
girl.
exactly.
Yes.
That's Tomato's point, is I think it's only women.
Right.
with whips.
Someone over there has a
Get
fetish.
Like a ton of all the Finas have a whip, but yeah, that thematically makes sense.
Wait, then why does blue mage Fina have a bow instead of a whip?
I mean,
And she still wants to be sexy.
Bow's
like-
always been the main weapon of, light Fina.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
Fina's the
she's the one always going about the sexy pose and everything. Why does she have a bow,
Yeah.
not a whip?
That's what she's missing.
Wait,
All right,
Cotton,
so-
explain to
so-
me, how is the whip connected to the sexy pose?
So I was gone last week, but this time I'm here, so we can actually start talking about the units now.
Units?
No.
What
Yeah,
are
fuck off,
units?
Muspel. Fuck off.
Yeah, okay. Hazard, can you just mute Muspel so we can have this conversation?
Last week was so wonderful. We should do it again. Actually, I do want to make sure to formally introduce TomAto. I know I mentioned him at the beginning, but just so you guys know his voice and recognize it. So TomAto, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining us today, and we're happy to have you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I assume we're all naked right now, right? Not just me?
Oh
Obviously.
yeah, every time.
Okay, good.
You can leave it up to your imagination.
Be weird otherwise.
Yeah, of course. The only weird thing is if we all hadn't showered before, but
That would just be messed up.
Yep.
Yeah, let's not get crazy, Boris.
yeah. So TomAto, I've always wondered, like, when in your life did you decide to be like a quality shit poster? What impacted you?
Oh, I come from a long line of shit posters. My dad was a shit poster, and his dad before then.
We merely adopted the shitpost. He was born and molded by it.
Yeah, it's almost a noble lineage.
I see. Your parents have to be really proud.
Oh yes.
Unfortunately, all they do to show it is shitpost about it.
As
You
per
can never
family
really tell.
tradition. Thanksgivings have to be a blast.
Oh yeah.
Oh
they're-
dear.
They're great. I am now old enough to be that horrible racist uncle.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, congratulations.
So I do my research. I make sure to bring up everything political I can when it shouldn't be. So it's just kind of a new step in my life that I'm going into.
It's the American tradition. So
I can't.
I don't know,
Can't let them down.
I wonder. I mean, I know Thanksgiving isn't in every country, but for those of you not in the U.S., is the Thanksgiving racist uncle like a thing? Does that happen?
Oh my goodness, yes.
I think that's a thing with like families, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's
So
just
not necessarily
a
just
thing
Thanksgiving.
with any older family members, Just it's really hard.
Yeah. I guess the main family gathering here would be like Christmas.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
much to the chagrin of everybody except Muspel, we can move on to our first unit. Muspel, take it away.
Our first unit is Awakened Dragon Akstar. Is that what they translated his name as?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, so we have another chainer. He reminds me very slightly of Rain in that he has mild support for chaining partners, but it's a lot less than Rain because all
Rain,
he
you
really
say?
has.
Wait, this is a spoiler, Muspel. You need to calm down.
This
This
is
is funny.
specifically not rain.
This is the first non-rain Akstar we've actually gotten.
I mean, is that
I
true?
don't know.
Yes.
It could
Yes.
be double time travel.
Wait.
true.
So we know this is not Rain Akstar.
Did you
Yes,
see
Well, he
It's
does
the
have two
real one.
arms.
Yeah,
It's
the,
the real one.
the cutscenes make it
Wait,
very clear.
You didn't skip the cutscenes?
It's not season 3. I can watch them.
They're
Okay.
also only like a minute long.
All right. So this is
But
the. Wait, but hold
One-
on. Why is this dude then doing like true mirror of equity?
Yeah, one thing that the cutscenes actually very clearly clarify, because I've seen a lot of people wondering about, like, did Alum forget their law? Because it wasn't the real Akstar that taught Laswell Mirror of Equity, but no,
Right.
this is Laswell teaching the real Akstar Mirror of Equity, and thus it all makes sense.
Yeah, I think
But you
it's
know-
actually a reasonably okay story.
You know what's
Like-
really weird? Akstar, the non-rain Akstar, does Mirror of Equity better than the originator because he doesn't stack for 7 fucking turns to burst at once.
Well, the originator also only had like one leg, one arm, one nut, one eye. So
Well,
it makes sense.
the originator's Reagan, though.
Yeah, the originator is Reagan, and even he took a bit going.
He didn't really stack up, did he? I don't remember.
He didn't have it until 7-star.
Yeah. So
I
technically,
don't even think
Akstar
he
was our
used it as
first
his main chain.
No,
Amoe chainer.
the first AT chainer in GL was Dracu Laswell
Ah.
at 7-star.
But I mean, it only makes
Learned it
sense.
with
I mean,
the power
obviously,
of spookiness.
yeah, and obviously Laswell has now developed the technique so much so that he doesn't have to charge up, and that's the version of the move he teaches Akstar.
You know, that could actually
Yeah.
be a reasonable
Yeah, that
like,
makes
explanation.
sense.
Yeah. It's
I
like
mean,
how
wow.
Rasengan got better throughout the series of
Yeah,
Naruto.
exactly. It's classic shonen. He's like he has come to the next tier of the move. No more like 15 different equities and obliterating equities that stack.
Huh, I really like this Baros. It's like Kamehameha took like fucking 3 episodes in the beginning and now it only takes 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's just a
Lastwell's
bit.
one still has the highest mod, though. So
Well,
he is still the master of it, I guess.
When you
Yeah.
get really good at it, it only takes 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So the thing
Uh,
about Akstar is that he's got he has an AoE ice imbue attached to one of his chaining moves, so that's nice if you're trying to use him with a non-dupe, I guess. But aside from that, he doesn't have a whole lot going on in his kit. He's got dragon killers in his base form. He's got a passive and a buff. Sorry.
hold on. Muspel, did you just say that's ice if you've got that going on? When you said the
No.
ice imbue, or did I just mishear that? Okay.
You just
That's
misheard it.
nice.
But
You
I
misheard
wish
the
I
pun.
had.
Nice if he did, but he
Muspel
didn't.
wouldn't stoop so low as to make a pun.
He just said he wish he did though.
All right, but he does have a very new thing, which is increased break damage,
Yeah, I was gonna talk
on
he
his
has,
lethal
he has our
mind.
first break skill.
which is the dumbest thing.
So I think this
Oh,
is probably Alam's answer to people using barrage attacks, because they didn't want that to be the way that you deal with these bosses. So they made skills that instead of being barrage attacks, they just deal crazy increased break damage of one particular weapon type.
Mhm.
And I think it's better than barrage, but I think that the fact that it's only one weapon type makes it kind of fucking awful, because you need so
Well-
many different units.
So is their plan kind of that you would bring the
Plan?
no,
Are you
okay.
suggesting they have plans?
Okay, but
Well,
I still want to ask this question. Is their plan that you're going to bring one of the break bar damagers as your support chainer to a trial? Do you think that's kind of the thought behind it? So you would bring Akstar and whoever
I
else you
question whether they put enough thought into this. I guess the idea is that you might pair up non-dupe chainers if one of them can help with the break bar. I honestly haven't looked at the future JP trials that much. I don't know how common the break bar even is on them.
It's in all of the extreme trials, so like
Okay.
the third run of Intanga and the other ones.
How does it work on Anthanola? Because I know that's AoE. Is it just the main part that has the break
I'm
bar?
I'm guessing it's just the main one, same as like the insignia bosses that have minions, but I don't know for sure. They might each have their own one.
Yeah, because just so people know, there are no hits on, so it's not chaining ability, the break bar
Yeah.
one. It's
Yeah.
just like
well,
break
it's a
bar.
basic attack. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess my question
I
is,
will say,
like, how much HP does the typical break bar have? Because if it's 500% increased, does triple casting that, does that just empty the break bar, or...
Breakbar has HP? I thought it had, like, hits.
No,
it has
it has like
X
an amount
of
of
like
it's not actual
Yeah.
HP, but it's like a weapon of the specified type will deal 100 damage, but not anything else would deal 1
because
damage.
Oh, okay.
I think from memory, most of them that I've seen have like 4,000 to 5,000 total.
Okay.
So like a triple, like if you are dual wielding katanas on a boss that say takes 100 damage from katana, like break damage, like that break skill will do 1,000 break damage per hit, so it can definitely take care of it in like a turn or
Is
two.
double-handing a katana the same as dual-wielding 2 katanas?
No.
Okay,
Dual wielding
so
the weapon
Not
type
even
is
important.
twice as good as double handing
Wow,
it.
that's really
so I
dumb.
just did a
Damn
quick
embarrassed.
check on JP. Up to Furion, they constantly released these break bar moves up to Furion, and then Furion had 2, like she could do with 2 weapons. And then they kind of just stopped and they did it again with Onion Knight, and they didn't do it again yet. So
I think some of the NVAs have them as well, like
okay.
Kunshira had 1 or 2. I think she had like maces and rods or something.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. So it sounds like this is going to be a pretty common mechanic.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think it's better than Barrage in that it doesn't take forever, but it's annoying in that it only works for 1 weapon type per skill, apparently.
Yeah.
But I mean, look
the,
at, like...
the other annoying thing that I think Sinzar's mentioned this quite a bit is that it's annoying that they're mostly on damage dealers, because you usually want someone to finish off the break bar and then chain after it's broken on that same turn.
I guess...
So
Sorry, go ahead.
I actually do have a question. Like, to properly maximize Akstar's break bar move, you want to dual wield katanas on him and then use his katana break move. Am I right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. He has
Yes,
it in his
but-
Brave Shift, which is TDW, which is probably another reason
he's
to
got it
go
in both.
dual wield
okay.
with him on some trials. But what I was going to say is...
Break shift form is more like for this mod boost stacking, isn't it? It doesn't look like it does as much damage as his base form.
Modifier-wise, it's about the same. Usually you're going to get slightly lower attack with it, just because of the passives and not having
Okay.
6 times cap. But yeah, the big thing you want from it is the Grandis.
Oh, hold on.
For
Can
setting
you
up the mod
cap
boosts.
this against the break bar?
Guys, I just want to be honest. This conversation is much worse than going off topic.
I completely
We're
agree.
actually talking about
we
mechanics
spent
for
10
once.
minutes talking about
Yeah,
the
we're
break
actually
bar.
talking-
So in the interest of not having Hazard fall asleep, Akstar does like around 190 billion damage from the calcs that Dream
Which
and
is
I
slightly
did.
more
He's
than
strong.
Rain, so he's the strongest chainer.
Apparently. At least without STMRs, they they
Yeah.
scale differently and whatnot.
He's
But,
he's
yeah.
kind of partially locked to ice because when he shifts into his Brave Shift form, which he has to do to maximize his damage, his best moves in that move are ice locked. He can use non-ice locked moves. He loses a bit of damage, and then he shifts back to normal, and he never goes back to his Brave Shift. He'll also
You want to know the
lose,
best
I
thing
guess-
about Akstar?
What?
He has permanent triple cast, and it's AoE Mirror of Equity, and it's non-elemental for Arena. So we finally have a triple cast Arena AoE unit that's TDH, which is what you want anyway. So this should be right up Muspel's alley.
So, and I guess you already pulled like 2 of them, right, Hazard?
No, I did pull an NV today for free, but it was another
Motherfucker.
Aerith, unfortunately.
That's what,
so
your 4th now?
Well, his
That
STMR
is-
gives both TDH and TDW
oh,
bonus, which is
But
But
as a
it is-
one-handed weapon,
yeah.
the TDH is a waste of time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a well thought out design.
It's like
As
it's
a
like
TDW
Dark
weapon,
Veritas
it's...
with a double hand going on.
Yeah.
So
He's
smart.
I mean, as a TDW weapon, it's like a katana version of Odin Reagan's STMR, which is good, but
His Vision card is another twist on what we've already seen with Cloud's card. It's basically the same thing, but for katanas.
Which
I
is
don't know,
really
there's a-
good.
Yeah,
base
it's
stat,
great.
very strong.
I don't know if there's a whole lot else to say about him, though. He's got
It's not exactly interesting.
he's got
Well,
guts.
I mean,
I
it
want
does-
to talk a bit about his CGLB, because that disappointed me a bit. So
Why?
I think I've said this. Well, I think I said this on the podcast before, but the OG Akstar or Rain Star, whatever, Rain Akstar had an amazing CGLB. Like, I mean, the weeb in me was jacking off to that LB. Really, this LB, like, dude just plays around with a brush.
I mean, I quite like
it's kind
it.
of a samurai
That's-
thing. Like in Japanese
Yeah.
culture, as
Yeah.
I understand it, samurai are supposed to like be cultured and stuff, and I guess that's supposed to represent that.
So wasn't this CG delayed in Japan?
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
All of the NVCGs have been like quite delayed in Japan because of COVID and just also them kind of spamming them out.
Well, we should get them delayed in global then too. I mean, I want it the same.
Yeah, people
Global's a
tend to
different
complain
game,
when
Tomato.
things are different.
This is a delay nerf, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I have nothing to look forward to. This is so unfair. In JP, they could look forward to getting these animations. I demand compensation. Gil.
But hey,
We've
we are
reached
getting
base-
there's
Oh,
something
no, don't bring
JP
up
It was
isn't
Gil.
basically
getting.
like a free buff for the units after their release.
Exactly, we need a buff for these units. Not that I got
But
Akstar.
Barros, we are getting something that JP isn't. We are getting Yoshi, okay? Yoshi.
Yeah, listen, I know you have a girl boner for Yoshi. I know, like, calm down.
I don't understand why anyone is excited for a store brand Auron.
Yeah, I don't know who Yoshi is besides the dinosaur thing in Mario. There's Elena and
Who's
there's
excited for this green design?
Yoshi is like hot Auron, okay? Like, everyone knows that.
Orange. Are you saying
See,
Orange
Barros
not hot?
understands me.
Yeah, Auron is like the store brand Auron, which is
I'm
really
gonna go
weird.
ahead and murder this tangent. We're gonna talk about the next unit, which is
Ah,
Shinju.
there we go. That's the
Does that-
muscle we love.
Does
I
anyone
thought
have
we
Yeah.
covered the whip fetish thing already.
Does anyone have anything to say about Shinju that does not relate to whips?
So I think Dream had like a thing about her being jailbait. Dream, do you want to bring that up again?
I mean, you just look at the skill names like Mad Lash, Sexy
what?
Whip Plus, Binding Whip Plus, Hard
Oof,
Whip,
binding whip.
Double Lash.
All you have
Hyped
to
up.
do is read her bio. Shinju wears a very tight, form-fitting black dress as her uniform, but doesn't particularly concern herself with her apparel. And
It
then
does
goes
say
on to
that,
say she's
yes.
a teen.
It actually does say that.
So Shinju is one of the what's Madam's group now again
The
called?
Soiree.
Oh boy.
Soiree?
Yeah, the sorry.
Her immaturity and raw power worry a
Moses
certain person in
Souls.
her life to the point that said person gifted her with a long whip so she could tame her own self first.
Oof. Oh God, this
This is
sounds like
getting
a good
worse.
fanfic.
All right, let's move on to the next unit right now before this conversation goes any further.
Wait,
Oh, I
So
was
hold
thinking
on,
it was
I
Soiree
have
before
another-
Soiree.
wait.
So does she have a terrible TMR as a 7-star too?
It's fine.
Yes.
It's 60%
Yes.
Well,
attack with a whip.
It's
It
Yes,
involves
it is
using a
terrible.
whip, so
it's,
yes,
it's
that's
terrible not because of the stats on it, but because it involves whips.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
All right. But her
But her
STMR,
STMR on
is
the other
really
hand.
good.
her
Yeah.
STMR is really freaking good.
Yeah,
So
her
it's
S-
55
her
flat
STMR
attack.
is-
Yes.
Does anyone care about huge flat attack percentages anymore? Like I see attack plus 50%, I'm like,
Yeah,
I
but it's
know
like
it's
yes,
on
55
the
flat
stat
attack
useful
too.
on-
attack.
It can be good on units that use LB damage because they have trouble getting attack percent in.
That's true. So
I
this
mean,
one
put it
is
this way, it's
55 attack
basically-
and 50% attack. Which
I
is-
do
It's not
think
getting the
it's
stat
almost
boner I used to get
a-
looking at it.
I do think this is probably worse than AI Katie's STMR on most units, but AI Katie's STMR is like the gold standard. So
of suckage.
Oh, you're saying AIK is the gold
AIK
standard of
TMR
success.
STMR collectively has probably like wasted like 300 years of human life.
Why don't you guys
Collectively.
do this podcast has been sponsored by Upgrade Package and then pause for 30 seconds.
Oh my gosh. If
So,
I
hold
just
on,
want to say,
what's-
if you put 2 AIKD STMRs on your MK bonus unit, you deserve to go to hell.
it doesn't proc twice hazard.
Yes,
It does.
it does.
It does.
Does?
Yes.
Really?
It takes like
Yeah.
4 seconds.
Muspel's like, oh my god, I have to do
I,
that at
well, I
ASAP.
only have one copy of it, so I guess I've never noticed this.
Oh, what a casual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
So guys, I have a question. So what's a sand whip? Is that like a new sex technique?
I think
If
it's just
any-
throwing sand at
If
people.
anybody knows Boros, it'll be you.
Dream, you have
Yeah,
something
well,
to say
okay,
about
okay.
her?
So listeners, if you
Yeah.
have anything on the
Dream.
sand whip thing, just
Dream,
post
save
it in
us.
the thread, get into the Discord, let us know. Like, what is this all
So,
about?
so how is Shinju's damage for a 7-star max unit?
Can we?
As for her actual kit, she's basically like a wannabe Madame Edel, because of her double cast, she's like really slow to set up, and she has like a 3-turn buff cooldown on like a 10-turn cooldown, which really annoys me.
Wait,
But
Lord
surprisingly,
Rice, isn't she a
surprisingly-
wannabe Madam Edel?
Cotton.
yes, that's the point. Surprisingly though, like once she does get set up for those like 3 turns, she actually does really surprisingly good damage. It's like over 100 billion burst for like 2 or 3 turns.
Oh, nice. Also, I
And
do.
like her average gets around as good as like Odin Reagan, but after that,
It's thematically nice also that she has also a skill called Shining Art Gem Strike, which is a Stardust Ray chain skill.
yeah. Well, all of her chains are Stardust Ray.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
literally
yeah.
has one skill that isn't Stardust Ray because it's a cooldown like buff.
But it's basically a carbon copy of Madame Adele's. Like all of her cooldowns are called the same things, I believe. The Shining Arts.
Well, her TMR is called
Yeah,
Dream of Becoming Madam.
Yeah, she's learned from Madam.
Oh,
So
wait,
she's
so
like,
this is a
um,
Yuri story.
puts her
Ugh.
own.
What's the
Not
female Wilhelm wannabe? What's her name?
Female Wilhelm.
Ozetta?
Ozetta.
Who?
Yeah, Odetta,
Ozetta.
I think.
Ozetta.
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 There's a
Yeah,
Z.
yeah, it's Ozetta. You're right. So she's basically, the new one of those.
I can't believe the
Meta.
free unit is the most interesting unit this week.
Oh, Pedo Bear. Yeah, let's move to Pedo Bear.
Let's talk about him. So Pekiota, or stylish
Panna
steward
Cotta.
Pechiota or Pechiota?
I think
Pekiota.
I think it's
Pekiota.
Pekiota.
Yoda.
So at first glance, it looks like he's just a breaker, but he has 50% innate increased chance to be targeted and 20% evasion in his kit, and his TM is 20% chance to be targeted, materia. So you can actually gear him for 100% target chance pretty easily. You give him his own TM and Moogle plushie, and he's at 100%. And then you get him some dodge, and you have a provoke breaker.
That's very nice.
If you're truly desperate, his TMR apparently stacks, from what I was
Yeah,
told.
so you
Yes,
could
it does.
potentially Prism Moogle.
It's so
Yeah.
cute. It's
Copies of it.
criminal.
I feel like that's typically not worth it, because if you have Moogle plushie, or if you have Moogle Charm, you've been playing long enough that you don't need multiple copies of his TM. If you don't have Moogle Charm, I don't think prisming this is going to solve your problems.
I mean, it might help if you're trying to maximize damage for Dark Visions, and you need that for a very specific build, but
Yeah.
It's one of
Otherwise-
those really big
Yeah.
desperation moves, so I don't think anybody would do it. It's just, it is an option. And the thing about this unit is that his STMR and his TMR are really interesting. I like his STMR just because there's like 4 different fucking killers on it.
Yeah, it's got some decent killers on it.
I also want to
And like
mention...
throwing is not used that much, but
I mean, TDW
can
units
occasionally find-
tend to,
yeah, sometimes they can equip it.
yeah.
I want to mention he has a chance to counter with an 80% break, which is pretty good if you make him your provoke tank. The main issue with him is that he doesn't have a defense or spirit breaks.
Yeah, he's purely attack and magic.
Now, you can get around this because some damage dealers do have those breaks and they could do it, or you could have, like, I don't know, I think Myra has one on a cooldown. So there's ways around it, but it's still not something that you necessarily want to be dealing with. But I think Sorry, go ahead.
I really like how what they tried to do with Pekiota though. Like there is an attempt to make a budget breaker, a budget Vaughn basically is what they were trying to do, and then all like for all purposes they didn't A-lim it up.
But hold on, didn't they already do that with Machina and just better?
No, Machina can't handle AoE fights.
Or have the evade provoke thing going.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry,
I like
Katie,
that he has 2 different forms of True Dispel. He's got one on his cooldown, and then his LB also has a True Dispel. Remove all buffs
Yeah.
from all
Yeah, I was going to mention that as well. That can be quite nice.
Yeah, his
And
LB 's
it's a
pretty
low
cheap.
cost LB as well, so
Yeah.
it's easy to have up
Yeah.
often.
Well,
Probably not an every turn.
medium at
I wouldn't
36.
say low cost. It costs 36, which is actually a little
No,
bit
but
on
to
the
me-
high side.
No, but it's easy. Like, okay, if it's 36, it means that if you have 12 LB per turn, you're gonna get it once every 3 turns, and that's quite a lot for
Yeah, but
a
12
perfect
LB
dispel.
for turn when you're gearing for 100% dodge and provoke and passive draw and probably some resists is very difficult.
Yeah, true,
Might be
true.
kinda tricky.
But also, you rarely need the perfect dispel every turn, so I'd say he's probably one of the units that has it the most often, right? Because usually these are on long cooldowns. Like Vaughn is only 4 or something, so Vaughn is really good.
Yeah,
Vaughn
between
is
his cooldown,
6, isn't he?
6? Oh shit.
I might be
between his
misremembering.
cooldown and his LB, you could have 2 primed and ready to go when you need it. It won't be every turn,
Yeah,
but if you need it on
you've
turn
got-
4 and then turn 6, bam, bam.
Yeah, you've got overall pretty good frequency on it, so that can definitely
Yeah,
be useful
Vaughn's
too.
is 6. Lids is 4.
Okay, yeah.
Also,
I still felt Vaughn's was low because you could use it a lot. I felt, but when I did the first clear on Behemoth with him, so yeah.
Yeah,
Did you guys
I know-
notice though that his STMR has the name Barrel in it?
What?
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
It's Rasp Barrel.
Okay.
I feel like it's supposed to be something like raspberry, but I don't know. That's
I think it's a play on raspberry, but because barrel is also like
Isn't that a
Rat
gem?
Barrel
to do with
is a character
circles,
from
isn't it?
Disgaea 3.
But isn't also Beryl a gem?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
What type of gem? I'm googling
that-
it now.
This could be some kind
No,
of
it's
Japanese pun that didn't translate
barrel.
well.
Speaking of which,
I mean, it
Guru-
might be to do with like
Oh, wow,
Yuffie's,
the
Beryl
whole
is
Madam
beautiful.
stuff has gem things going.
Yuffie's
Mm,
STMR
that's
Conformer is just a complete weird English translation that should not have existed.
But yeah, overall, I look at Pekiota and I see a unit that, isn't top tier, but for a free unit, especially for new players, he's great. His TM is not the most useful passive draw item, but it's reasonable. And just overall, definitely worth picking up, definitely worth getting his TM and his STMR.
well, and you definitely want him
It's a unit
because
that has the potential
of
to be useful.
this daily dungeon thing we've got going on. You really want him to be your
Oh,
provoke
yeah.
evade breaker guy because that thing
So-
sucks.
There's not many
Is
sources of
everybody
breaks
doing the
for it.
daily dungeon? Because I do it once, and then it's too much of a pain in the butt, and I just spend
It
energy
gives so
pop.
much currency, though.
Yeah,
I guess
tend to
this
do it
no,
just
this one
because-
isn't that bad.
I think I
This
got
one's bad.
like 190,000 from my run today.
It gives like 20,000 base, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
2k points as well.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's worth it if you can do it. It is a pain in the butt though, for sure. Especially if
it's
you
not
don't
so
have the
bad
NV
this
units.
No,
Oh
you
well,
don't-
I don't
this one-
have Lastwell.
No, you don't need NV units to do this one. Like I'm clearing it with Kunshira to break Physalis and Yergo to chain. So it's actually not as bad
Yeah,
as a
that's
Final
basically
Fantasy
what I
7
used
one.
as well.
I mean,
I don't
Madam
believe you.
is one of the units on that has a bonus, right? So that's another decent unit that does damage,
Yeah.
I guess. So it could be. I mean, you can gear like Reagan does okay damage too if you've enhanced him. So
Do we have anything else to say about Pekiota, or do we want to move on to Lastwell?
Hey, Laswell.
Well,
I
one
do have
other
a
thing
question.
is-
I
Like,
think
Pekiota looks
I
like
think
teddy
it's
bear to
time for
me,
Shadow
okay?
to Fangirl.
I actually thought Pekiota was a teddy bear before. I realized
Apparently,
it was
three
like
of you want to
a
say
dog.
something.
Like,
like
3 or 4 people just spoke at once, and neither of them yielded. This just
Rabble,
kept
rabble,
going.
rabble, rabble, rabble. Yeah, why is he the only
I just
bear?
heard Cotton.
Is he the only bear in the game?
I
Is
thought
he
it
a
was
bear? I
dog.
thought he's supposed to be a dog. Yeah.
There's Wilhelm.
Oh, Muspel. I like the way you think.
And now we can move on. Go out on top.
Pyro Glacial Icy Hot Lastwell.
Yeah.
Time for Shadow to Fangirl.
Shadow,
Yeah.
take it away.
So, Pyroglacial Laswell is like any Laswell fan's wet dream because this guy has been in the meta since the 7th, like for so long now. He's been every time people think he's dead, he just comes back. And did he come back this time? He does decent chaining damage, and his Brave Ship form actually has a pretty cool thing where if you want to make him into an LB damage dealer, yeah, you can, but I mean, why would you? That's boring. Fucking everyone's an LB damage dealer these days. So, I mean, the thing about his Brave Shift that I really think is weird is that he has 130 times ice physical damage modifier, but no LB damage boost in his kit.
Yeah, he does.
It's on his Grandis. That's it,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, on his
Yeah.
Grandis.
Yeah.
Once. Yeah. Okay. Once. Congratulations. You have 150% for one. It's to me his Brave Shift
But
feels
Shadow,
like the
Shadow. What if once is all you need?
I mean, looking at Tifa, once is all you need, right?
To be fair, Tifa hits a lot harder.
Tifa hits harder. Like
Okay.
when they made Tifa, they made her Grandis go like what, twice, 3 times, and then
Twice.
Twice, yeah.
his only happens once, and it's not even as strong as hers. It's like okay,
And
I don't think
Tifa's will last through 2 LBs.
exactly. His only lasts for
Time
1
around.
LB.
So Tifa can go multiple times. Lastwell is one and done.
So when are we gonna get actual?
That was expected.
Actually, I'm gonna save this question for later. We're not done with this kit. Sorry, Shadow. Go on.
I mean, his kit's kind of boring though. It's a really simple rotation of use that AT move and you're gonna do damage. But as somebody who has to do meth every week, I enjoy those kind of units.
Did
One
you say
thing-
meth?
Wait, yeah, hold on.
Yeah, I'd agree
One
with
thing
that.
I want to mention is that he does not have an imbue in his base form, So you're either going to want to give him an external imbue or run an elemental weapon in his base form.
I
Wait,
used to think that was a bad thing, but for dual wield units, I honestly feel like that isn't as big as an issue.
Yeah, it's not crippling. It's just something to keep in mind.
you do, yeah. I mean, I still think you lose a fair chunk of attack, though.
You do. but
It's actually like
what
I
can you
was
do?
comparing the builds. It's not that big a damage loss, to be honest. It's
No,
like,
but it's a E-peen loss. Muspel, my penis is so small already, I can't have it get any smaller.
There's a level.
Moving
Nice, like that audio.
on.
There is a
nobody
level
say
assurance when your dual wield unit already has an elemental weapon, just because if a dispel happens, that's one less thing to worry about to recover. So I honestly feel like the gain that you get for having an elemental weapon sometimes just is so much better than losing the loss in attack value that you usually get.
I
And
feel
by
like
this point,
with Lastwell though, if I got dispelled, or I think the thing with a lot of these chainers that we see at Envy is that the solution to getting dispelled isn't use an elemental weapon. It's a lot of their brave shifts have moves that have innate elements.
yeah, that's true.
So
But
like with
these-
Lastwell, I would just shift to his brave shift and use the ice move.
These Envy Awakened units, though, always have a thing with their cooldowns. Just, like, sometimes you're stuck in that Brave Shift for, like, 2 or 3 turns. I think, maybe it wasn't last one of the Envy Awakened units in the last few weeks, they were stuck on it for 3 turns once you got into it, and you can't leave it. So it's like,
Yeah.
I really find that annoying sometimes.
That does apply for Lastwell, I think, as well.
Last
Oh,
one has
was it
cooldown
last
to
one?
normal 3 turns.
Yeah, okay, that's that
The
last.
thing
Quite-
about
quite a
Lastwell
lot,
though is after he goes into the brave shift for the first time, he never goes back in a normal rotation. I don't think, right?
Yeah, you want to stick to his other chaining move in his normal form.
Well, yeah.
Is there an...
And that-
The Brave Shift usually does slightly higher damage because you've got that stronger attack buff
yeah, sorry, I
available,
was
and the
thinking
mod
of Akstar.
is 96 versus 98.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
Akstar is the
Akstar.
one that just buffs once and then stays in normal form.
Is
Oh,
there an
well,
NBA with infinite turns in their Brave Shift
No.
form?
I don't.
not
Yeah, there is a few now.
well,
Lauren's the first one that came to mind.
in GL. It's,
But yeah, quite
we're
a
the global
Oh, yeah,
exclusive
not-
podcast.
not-
We're not the fucking
not
JP
yet
exclusive
in GL.
podcast.
Wait, so
But
which one?
there
of
will
the,
be before long.
Which one of the MV bases has an infinite brave shift?
All of
Every
Uh,
NV base.
Most of them, yeah.
Cloud.
Oh, okay. So
Cloud
yeah,
has it.
I mean,
it's Envy units seem to have infinite brave shift. NVA units typically don't.
oh, okay. I never
For
thought
now,
about it
that's
because
been
all
the
of their
pattern, at
rotations
least.
are very
Yeah.
set on you wanting to shift in and out, which I think is cool because
Yeah.
it is a mechanic you kind of want to do. But yeah,
I know I'm jumping the gun a bit, but regarding the Brave Shift thing, I think what they did with Terra is actually brilliant, because the way that Terra's Brave Shift works is that you're only in it for like I think 1 or 2 turns, and then you're out. So
Were you
it
just
works
saying
like,
this isn't the Japanese?
What they did with Terra is what they did with Tifa, though.
Yeah.
It's literally just hers.
No, but Terra's is better because they actually put effort in a Brave Shift sprite. Tifa's is a pose change, but
She has a better
yeah, but
sprite,
isn't that
so it's
kind
the
of
same
true?
thing but better.
That's kind of true for all NVAs, and it is a bit of a shame, I'm gonna say. Although it seems to be getting better because we are the JP podcast, and like Uraisha's sprite is fucking amazing in BS form.
I mean, it's still a post
need
changes,
Granny
and then she
NVA
went
now.
from tied up hair to
She lets her hair down.
yeah.
No, but
But there have been a few really good ones, like Lauren gets like fancy dress.
To be fair, Lauren is a
Sakura
paid
goes
unit in
Delta
JP.
Star,
Are you guys done yet?
and
no, I have a really
Never.
important question about Lastwell. So,
Nope.
like,
Nope.
no. This
Nope.
is an important question. Muscle, shut up. So, like all gachas, we know this. All gachas kind of go down the slope of being over-sexualized eventually. Like we see with all gachas, especially in their commercials, when like all gachas now kind of look like it's a waifu choosing sim. Like, do you want flat tits, big tits? Do you want like noble or
get to the
whatever?
point.
Yeah.
Like a whirl. Okay, yeah, let's talk about the trial now.
So listen,
No,
I'm still
let
not done with
Barros
my
finish.
question.
Come on.
Okay.
Yes,
so
go on,
when do you
Barros.
think, when do you think that's gonna start happening in FFB? When are we gonna get like dominant daddy Lastwell or like actually like explicit units?
Did you not see Summer Phases, LB?
Yeah,
I was gonna say, this has
Barros.
been happening for like 3 years already,
No,
Barris.
no.
Have you not seen the
Why-
summer
Why do you
units?
think you
I
pulled
would
for
say summer
Seacard and
units.
Ignacio?
Listen, summer units are standard weeb fan service. I'm talking about like the boat fucking game ads, where it's like,
What about CG legs? The first Dark Fina.
CG Ignacio.
well, okay, listen, we need more units like Big Hard and CG Legs. I agree. Like those are the units that will really take this game to the depravity kind of cycle. Although I guess I shouldn't hope for that, because that's probably usually at the end of the life cycle.
Baros, is Shinju not enough? We just talked about her description and her kit.
Yeah, also the depravity is probably the problem as well.
Did
I'd agree that's
everybody
kind of
already
a problem.
forget the whole Citrus CG where it literally stops on her tits for like a good 2 seconds?
But that's still fan service. It's like it's not. She wasn't.
All right, I
dominant
regret
Lady Citra.
letting Barros ask your question. So let's move on to the Coral.
Anything to contribute, Tomato?
Wait, how do we pronounce the new fight?
I don't know.
Quirrell?
The
I
whip
would say
whiskered
Coral.
beast.
And thus,
Coral.
Doggy,
Well,
cat. Oh, it's the cat.
Carl, that kills people.
Coyote. It's a cat.
Carl.
I mean,
Oh,
I'm not an English-speaking native
No,
person,
wait,
right?
I've got it. I know what we call it. Thundercat.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right,
It does
in.
make sense.
Okay. But guys, TomAto, I love that reference. Llamas and hats, fantastic. Thank you for that.
Carl.
Oh, what's the Thundercat Pokemon? Raikou? No, what's it called? Yeah, Raikou.
Yeah.
It's like
Raikou.
5.
This is FFBE Raikou.
Jolteon.
Jolteon.
It's more
Jolteon's one of the top.
It's
10
more a
Pokemon of all
Raikou than a
time.
Jolteon. Like,
He's more.
So
He's
Cotton.
definitely more Raikou.
So
Can
Thundercat
you name
feels
all
like...
lightning Pokemon just by heart? Go.
Pikachu.
So
Pikachu.
Too
Thundercat
many.
feels like the most straightforward trial we've had in a long time. His mechanic, it basically boils down to he hits you really hard. He doesn't have like any death stuff. He doesn't you don't have to gear for dodge. You don't deal
Wait, that's
with
like entirely wrong, though. Did you just do the Tifa clear on him?
no. All he does AoE physical, and then he switches and does AoE magical, and then he switches back to physical, and that's the whole fight.
Yeah, but that's the mechanic, right?
Yeah.
You need to kind of switch between physical and
So
magical.
you have two
Well-
tanks, and then you just do each of their covers when you need it.
I use one
Muspel's
tank.
double tank campaigning has
He's
finally
talking
paid
about
off.
Hello Aegis Charlotte. Wait for
Yep.
it. He's going to talk about her. There we
Yeah.
go.
There
I
we
use
go.
Hallowed Aegis Charlotte, and she actually died once, but that was during the magic phase, so
She's probably a bad tank.
I know, right?
I should have saved Rem's magic mitigation cooldown to line it up with that.
Just imagine if we had CG Ramza, though, he would have been able to double tank this.
Wait. So,
Man.
in your weird dream here, is CG Ramza... What form is he? Is he like original frilly shirt Ramza? Is he the multiple tank Ramza? Is he the Chapter 4 heretic Ramza?
Is
your
he the
CG
really
Ramza?
freaky Ramza from Dissidia who looks very wrong because he has a nose and the FFT units aren't supposed
Gosh.
to have noses?
So if they do a CG Ramza at some point, it has to
They
be
won't.
the Chapter 4 Heretic Ramza, the one in like the green and silver armor. If they do the frilly one from Chapter 1, it's going to be a disappointment. But I was just saying, like, if they'd done an Envy Awakening of Merc Ramza, that'd be kind of fun.
I have a question, Hazard. How would you feel if they did a CG dual unit, Beach Ramza and Delita?
Wait, so it would be...
I would feel like I would probably sue them for direct harassment.
But
targeted
the question
harassment.
is, would you pull?
It is a Ramza.
I don't know.
Silent. Your silence speaks in volume.
I want Ultima,
Oh, Envy Ultima. I'm down for Envy
but
Ultima.
she needs to brave shift into Alma and be
Yes.
useless.
Oh my gosh.
And be useless.
Spoilers,
Can't
guys,
equip
come
anything.
on.
It should be the other way around, so you have to pull
We don't have
more.
a 5-star base Alma though.
Yet.
Exactly.
Come on, Gumi.
In V base.
Wouldn't Renora technically be good for this fight?
Yes, I used him.
Okay.
Of course you did, Muspel. Of course you did.
Wait, why would you use Oh, right. Yeah, evasion supremacists. I got it.
Evasion supremacist.
Yeah, I got
You make it sound like some Reddit subreddit you don't want to be a part of.
It sounds like he's
Well-
trying to evade using evasion.
Yeah, and it kind of is a subreddit I wouldn't want to be part of. Like
To
all
be
these
fair,
elitists just talking about how to gear their physical tanks. Physical
Renor's
tanks have
Mirage.
been irrelevant for a year.
Renor's Mirage is also just useful, so...
So one thing I learned, one really cool thing. learned several things about this fight actually, but one thing that I haven't actually thought about before is, So Rigoro gave me this idea because I wanted to do a Rivera clear. And then Rigoro said, yeah, but why don't you just use Awakened Warrior of Light as your tank? Because he can also heal and tank. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. And I did. Because I've never awakened my So I've never awakened my Awakened Warrior of Light.
Unawakened warrior.
You were sleeping on him.
And I realized, you know what? I realized there is a pretty... Unfortunately, he is not that good anymore, I guess. But wow, he's like a perfect complement to Uraisha. Because like he can cover her downturn of barriers perfectly. So that was a really cool synergy I learned from this fight. Not that I got to use it because the fight was super short, but still, like, there was a cool synergy between two units I didn't know before. I might use him as my evade tank several more times.
I also want to talk for a minute about the materia you get for beating the trial.
The LB damage?
Call of the Wild.
The LB fuel one.
Which one? There's two.
Yeah, so this is something we haven't seen before. At the start of the turn, at the start of your first turn, it fills your LB gauge by 8. And something that a lot of people might not be aware of is that if you Brave Shift, start of turn abilities will also trigger again at the end of your turn. I'm not sure if this applies to start of battle things though. So, like, if you equip this on the base form and the Brave Shift, and then you Brave Shift on turn 1, do you get 8 more LB crystals at the end of the turn?
Yes, you should.
Nice.
I'm not sure if it's the end of the turn or the start of the next turn, but, I mean, that doesn't really matter either way for LB crystals.
Yeah.
But yeah, those start of fight things will trigger every time.
I think you wouldn't necessarily do this on a damage dealer, but for, like, a breaker or something in Dark Visions, it could be very relevant for getting an LB up really quick.
Huh.
Or even on Tifa in Dark
envy.
Visions, like...
Wait, so if you Brave Shift on turn 1, you get 16 LB?
If you equip this to both the base
Yeah,
form
you
and the
should.
Brave Shift, yes.
I mean, it could work on Tifa too, like, because sometimes you don't want to use her LB fuel move during Dark Visions because it imbues herself at the same time. So if you use that...
Yeah.
Yeah, there would be a small
Interesting.
disadvantage in that it's only 30% LB damage, so you're losing some potential damage that way, but if it lets you burst sooner without having to deal with some annoying boss mechanic, that could be very useful.
Yeah,
Even if you just use it on the Brave... Yeah, I mean, even if you just use it on the base form, there's like 3-8 limit break crystals at the start of your turn. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, Tifa is so strong that if you could get her to just fill LB turn 1 and get an external LB damage, she's still going to do, like, good damage. Not great, but, like, 100% buff is still going to have her doing big burst on turn 1.
I think turn 1 burst is not very realistic in most situations, because you need somebody to fill the gauge, somebody to buff LB damage, people to chain, people to imbue. It's a lot of jobs for 6 units.
So what you're saying, you need Luna Freya and 2 support chainers.
Luna Freya only does a 50% LB damage buff.
Oh, right. Yeah, that sucks.
You know who has
so-
100% LB damage buff?
Yeah, NV Rain.
And
We need Poppy.
Envy, Daddy Rain, yes. So, speaking of Rain,
NVA Uraisha.
I think I'm the only one who didn't fucking use Tifa here. Prove me I'm wrong.
I didn't do it yet. I
haven't done it yet.
fucking do-
Yeah, I use Rain.
And
Oh,
I
there
didn't
we
even
go.
awaken my Tifa, so it's like I
Two
won't even
people
be using
used.
Tifa.
I did
fuck
forget
you,
to
Arrow.
gear my Rain's Brave Shift. So
I
I
used
had
Rain and Tifa.
I had to do the whole thing in his base form.
I just have to speak a bit more about Rain because I really like that unit, but wow, his LB is like so satisfying. I'm starting to realize how visually satisfying backloaded LBs are.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought you
the
just
way-
really liked the visual of a ridiculously over large sword
Yeah,
to
'cause I
help
was-
compensate for your small package.
Yes, exactly. Like when I see it, I'm like, I'm okay with having a small penis now. Also, it was pretty cool, you know, like Curl was at, I don't know, what, 80% or some shit, and then his LB starts going, and the percentages don't change. And you're like, did I do something wrong? Like, did I forget an LB buff or something? And then the final hit comes in, and Curl goes to 10% HP, and you're like, oh my god. You're rubbing your nipples, you're kind of twisting your toes because it's so pleasurable.
Baros!
Barros, do you drive a lifted truck? Just by happenstance.
Actually, I always wanted to have one, but I can't afford a new car, so I don't. But I would want one. Like I would want one of those big Ford, like huge ass trucks.
You know, stereotypes
Barros.
exist for a reason.
Barros,
So
what
are
kind of
you
car do you drive?
guys...
I drive a Nissan Qashqai.
Oh, that's okay.
What? Whoa. Hold on. He was going to say something really demeaning, wasn't he?
No, I guessed that you were a Nissan person, but I can't believe I got it right.
I don't even know what cars exist in Sweden, so...
Yeah, we kind of almost don't have cars. Most of us drive in like horse carriages, but like I'm one of the lucky few.
I thought you rode on fish like Aquaman.
No, we're not.
Wait, you mean Barros isn't Aquaman?
But Barros,
That's
here's a
not
bigger
why.
question. Does IKEA produce cars?
I was about to ask that actually.
Actually, they don't.
Okay, but-
I mean, you have IKEA. You should know. What the fuck?
Do you guys like IKEA in Sweden? Like, is it like as cool as it is in America?
So actually, that was so cool because that was my biggest fucking surprise. For my first trip to the U.S. was a business trip to Los Angeles, and I was so surprised. Like, IKEA is cool, and I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
what the actual fuck?
IKEA
You mean
Yo, yo,
IKEA isn't
legit.
cool in Sweden?
Have you heard of the IKEA
No.
date? That's a thing here. The IKEA
Dude.
date is like a cultural
That's
thing.
so weird.
Yes.
Because, okay, let me now tell you something about IKEA in Sweden. So IKEA in Sweden is basically like Kmart. It's like the
What the
cheap
hell?
No, it's the cheap brand
What the hell?
furniture store. You don't go to IKEA to buy, like, you go to IKEA if you can't afford real furniture. Like, I'm not even kidding. That's what IKEA is in Sweden. So
Well,
it's
it's
What
like
the
how
hell?
KFC is popular in Japan and McDonald's is popular in South Korea. And here in America, we're like, oh, really? You went to McDonald's?
yeah, but that's the opposite is true here. Because like when a KFC opened for the first time in my town, everyone was crazy about. They're like, oh my god, we can finally go to KFC and shit. But yeah, like obviously KFC is trash food, and I think that like it's probably the same. Because in
Oh my God.
IKEA here is
It's
I
really
just got
funny though,
12
because
golden bombs.
12
What?
golden what?
I just got
Thanks.
I got
Trevor.
12 golden bombs. Continue.
Oh, I got
Oh,
two.
what?
congratulations.
I got my first double big bomb.
So can someone
today.
explain this concept of the IKEA date to me? That
Okay,
sounds
well,
super interesting.
IKEA is actually a place you would want to
I've
go
got no
to
idea.
for fun, even if you weren't actually buying anything.
Oh.
Because they've got so the IKEA date, I guess, I'm not sure exactly what I was referring to, but I've definitely seen people do that as a
Hazard,
date.
first of all, explain to Reddit what a date is.
Oh.
Yeah, that might be an important first step.
You know,
IKEA.
Well, okay. Imagine that you have a body pillow, but instead of a body pillow, it's a person.
A Dakimakura?
Oh my gosh. All right, so this is
What?
when you interact with other people in real life, someone who you're physically attracted to, typically. Anyways, you take this person to IKEA, you go around the
And buy her
store,
a
they have,
nightstand.
well, the thing is, IKEA has a bunch of, like, mini setups as if they were houses, like, you have, like, kitchens and bedrooms and, I don't know, workbenches
Yes.
and all like, garages, all these different things, and they set it up, the furniture, present it in a way that you'd be able to kind of see what it would look like in your own home. So it's just kind of fun to like
Yes.
try all the beds, and then
One
the
of the-
best part. Hold on, the best part is when you get to the end. There's a cafeteria, and they've got Swedish meatballs, and they've
Oh,
got
yes, the
lingonberry
meatballs.
sauce, and like all sorts of weird
But
and
I'm
delicious
thinking, like, is
food.
the word,
It's
like,
really fun to eat there.
But there's a undertone to this. Like when you and a girl or a guy or a significant other go on an IKEA date, you're going there because you're probably looking for furniture. That means you're probably going to move in with each other. So it's like a way of saying, it's an undertone of saying this relationship is kind of serious. Like I've seen people do that as a roundabout way of like testing the waters, I guess, of their current status of their relationship. And it is a cheap place to go on a date. Like the food is good. It's cheap, and coffee is like, I like the coffee there. I actually go to get their fucking coffee because you can refill it.
This
and
is
the
so
espresso
good
machine
because
is
like
always
if,
great.
if you ever brought a
I can't
date
stand IKEA coffee.
and listen, this is so funny because okay, I definitely see the whole shopping together kind of for inspiration and or because you're moving in together, and that definitely happens here because like again, I sounded like a supremacist, but like at least 50% of my furniture is still from IKEA. I'm just telling you like what the feeling of IKEA is in Sweden, and of course every young person buys all of their shit at IKEA because they can't afford anything else. But the thing is, if you ever this is so funny, if you ever brought a date to IKEA for the food, like that's the fastest way to get dumped. I'm gonna say, like, it's so dumb.
I don't know, like I used to go, like in Malaysia I used to go to eat to have a meal at IKEA because the food is decent and it's cheap.
Oh, but that's a different
and
thing.
they have Malaysians.
But I'm saying like
No,
bring a
they
date.
have they have curry puffs in Malaysian IKEA, okay, and the curry puffs are good.
Yeah, this is so funny.
As we talk about IKEA, I'm just gonna let you know I'm on an IKEA chair, IKEA desk, and I have an IKEA nightstand right in front of me right now, and our bed is from IKEA
hold on. Let me check my.
Wait a minute. Can we get a one night stand there?
Listen. We need to do like an IKEA roll call. Okay, so I have a IKEA desk in my office because I'm sitting in my office recording this. IKEA desk, IKEA bureau, and a IKEA what do you call a TV stand? Right, a TV stand. The media furniture. You know what I mean?
Entertainment center or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of like this little table that you'd put your TV and your consoles and shit in. Yeah, so that's all I have in this room from IKEA. Anyone else?
Like, I'm in my bedroom.
I've got a mobile. Oh, sorry, go Cotton.
I have like an IKEA stool, an IKEA computer, like TV table that I repurposed into a table for myself, an IKEA cupboard, and one of those small IKEA square tables. And that's just my bedroom.
Wow.
I've got.
Do you guys go for it?
Do you get? Sorry, I was saying I've got like a movable island in my kitchen from IKEA. I've got 2 or 3 dressers, like the ones where you can put cubbies. Like they're like cubbies. You can find the things that I don't know, put your stuff in. I have 2 of those. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. But I've had lots of furniture from IKEA over the years. Yeah.
So basically, Rain is just an unremarkable damage dealer with no utility, right?
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Wait a
Wait,
minute.
what?
Well, that's what we.
I've just sort of zoned back in because I don't even freaking have IKEA
Yeah,
here.
see,
Dream, you
New
poor
Zealand-
New Zealand
thing.
doesn't have IKEA. Oh,
You poor
Nope.
thing. Wow,
Man.
you're missing out so much in your life.
yeah, you could be going on
Okay,
so
we
many
need to
dates.
petition IKEA. Well, you and your 92 sheep per person could all go to IKEA.
Muspel is oddly silent. I think he doesn't like this IKEA talk that we're doing
Oh,
right now.
Muspel obviously is an American, so he definitely goes to IKEA on dates and shit.
Isn't he thinking about his own IKEA date?
I'm doing
with
my
Hazard.
chocobo slot spins.
Oh, that's why he's quiet.
How did we get to this IKEA tangent?
I don't know, actually.
I have no idea.
I mean, this is the tomato section, so anything goes.
Oh yeah, Tomato's here. Let's talk to Tomato.
I've actually never been to an IKEA, even though there's one like 15 miles away from me.
So,
Wait, Tomato, you're in California, right?
Yes, and I am literally on fire right now.
Oh boy.
Oh gosh.
yeah, so can someone explain the
another-
whole gender reveal thing to me? Like, what's up with that? No, I mean, like, not. I know what a gender reveal party is, but like, what happened? Why is it on fire? Why did you burn down California?
Someone set off they sent off a smoke grenade that was supposed to, give
Because
blue
they're a
or pink
moron.
smoke, and they did it in a dead grass area, and of course the smoke grenade sparked it, and
And like,
Oh,
it
boy.
just grew too big, like before anyone could do something about it.
well, I
Now-
assume they weren't firefighters right there.
So
Obviously.
the thing you have to understand about California is that every year or two, the entire state catches on fire.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I do know that kind of.
You
You
mean
can
like
go to-
Australia?
I mean, you can go to their website.
Yes, this is Australia.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
go to the website of their whatever. It gives you like live feed of the forest and or of the entire state's current meltdown status, and literally the entire state right now has little fire symbols all over it. So
We
yeah.
call this forest management.
Yeah, because I saw this really weird picture of like I think it was San Francisco or Los Angeles, don't remember. That was like with an orange sky. It was a bit surreal.
yeah, that's San Francisco
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, that happens a
Yeah.
lot.
Wow.
We,
So-
we
Some
call
have
it
just
fire
been straight
season.
up red.
You guys call it fire season. We call it here 2020 reusing their script. Early in January, Australia was in
Yeah.
fire, and now we're getting this in the northern hemisphere. It feels a bit redundant.
Yeah, this arc is basically just
Yeah.
a
Oh, don't
rehash.
worry. The fire will come back to Australia end of the year. We're just taking our time there.
So now that we've done absolutely everything except talk to Tomato about what we brought him here for, let's do that. Tomato,
What did you bring
Yeah,
here?
I was just
Well-
gonna ask.
Mostly to make fun
well,
of
there's been
Or for
there's
him to
been,
make
you
fun
know,
of us.
a lot of outcry that we haven't invited you to the podcast before. And my defense is I absolutely did, but you just didn't check Discord for like 4 months. So once you actually found out we had invited you. we
It's
finally
on
got you.
record that I'm an old man that doesn't know how to do the Discord.
Well,
You
that's
could
true,
have
but
just, ping me on Reddit like a normal person.
you have built quite a career on Reddit doing the post. I was about to say postpartum depression, but
Whoa, where did that come from?
well, it is a play on words. It's post-poll depression. So I wanted to ask you, when did you start this? Because it's been going on, it seems like, for as long as the game has been here. But I do remember when it started, and I don't even think it was called post-poll depression in the first episode, right?
So I did it for 3 years, weekly. No matter what Gumi put out, I put out something for it every Saturday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It started originally as a series called You Pulled for That from someone called
That's right.
Sometimes Literate. And he went on vacation or something one week, and I'm like, hey, where's this shit post about? It's supposed to be a banner review shit post style. And there was a couple of them, and I really liked it. And then I saw it was missing for a week, and I'm like, hey, I could do this.
I can be a
And
shit
so
poster
eventually,
too.
kind of, I am a fully licensed shit poster. I am credentialed by all known entities. Eventually I fully took over the series, renamed it as Post Poll Depression, and then I finally stopped it just about a month or so back. Partially because I have a new job, partially because what the fuck am I going to say about Cloud for the 17th time?
Yeah, it does get a bit old, I guess.
Right? And this one. Now we have Akstar and Lastwell. Oh, well, fucking great.
Never seen them before.
Yeah, so it kind of got stale. I was kind of forcing myself to do it, and I figure, I hit my 3-year anniversary. I'm like, yeah, all right, it's enough.
Well, you teased us too. You said this is my last post, and then you gave us like 2 more posts after that anyway.
Yes. There will be another one or so, because occasionally we just got either extremely boring weeks or even an occasional dead week. And so I have my own version of the story characters. It's the PPD Cinematic Universe, where they are just fourth wall
Holy fucking shit!
breaking.
Did you pull on
Yes.
any?
I just won. No, I
Yes.
just won the chocobo. I just won the chocobo slot. I got the first one. I got 3 Finas.
Now,
You mean this is
Yeah.
the first time you got it?
I got
It's my
my first
first
one.
what's that?
Keep it to
What's
yourself.
that?
I also
Yeah.
got my first one
Isn't
today.
it trash?
It's my first one.
It's a 5-star ticket. 5-star /
5-star
NV
NV
ticket.
ticket.
NV, 5-star NV
Yeah.
ticket.
Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
get shit from it.
Yeah, I got another Ayaka. So, but it's funny, Tomato. You were actually, I was always impressed not only at all the jokes and especially me growing up. I was born in the late 80s, so a lot of the references you used were like from my childhood and growing up with video games, and I always appreciate that. But one of the things you did was you would replay Final Fantasy games based on whatever the banner was. So you played like Type 0, you played Final Fantasy 9, 8, 7, all the other ones, which was way more dedication than any sane person should have put into it.
I think the worst was watching the Advent Children movie. Because when that first came out, it didn't bother me as much. And then I watched it a second time with the director's cut years ago. I'm like, okay, this wasn't too bad. And then I watched it now, and it's just complete, absolute garbage. Because the only selling point that movie had of, the great fight scenes and all that, now just look like crappy, Uncanny Valley from the PS3 era. And just our in-game engine, fight cutscenes look so much better. So it took the only good thing about it, and it just doesn't matter now.
All right, so I want to
recently
know. Oh, go for it, Shadow.
No, I was going to say I recently rewatched AC. I didn't hate it as much as I used to. I had the opposite effect of you. I always hated it when it first came out because I thought it ruined the ending of FF7. But then, like, I rewatched it recently when the FF7 AC banner came out. I was like, I don't hate it as much. I thought it would age decently, all things considered.
I could not tell you what was going on until I actually read the character bios in FFBE, and that actually was able to explain that clusterfuck of a story that was Advent Children.
I think
Yeah, I
people
didn't
agree
know-
it's mostly there for the fight scenes.
But I mean,
I didn't know where they were. I didn't know if they were fighting a Bahamut or an Omega weapon or whatever. I didn't know anything that was going on.
but I would say like all of Final Fantasy VII is a
FFBE is a
clusterfuck
great
of a
source of
story.
lore.
To be honest.
Well, the original Final Fantasy VII, and now we're going to get to the, well, actually, fanboy kind of thing, was more of a deconstruction of what the, original protagonist of a JRPG was at the time.
But it
the
was
whole-
also a clusterfuck.
Yes. Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right,
it
so
was.
out of all the games that you replayed, which one did you enjoy the most doing again? Or maybe for
Why
the
was
first
it
time?
12?
So Final Fantasy IX, I probably enjoyed replaying the most, and I've mentioned this before, but I definitely had a much better perspective of it as an old man than I did when I played it when I was first like 17, watching Garnet move that staff around her no-no parts, the vagina. Because when you're watching it, you realize it's really Vivi's story about how, how much time does he have left to live, and once you get to, near middle age or whatever, you kind of go like, well, holy shit, I can die tomorrow. I really, I don't know how much I could drop dead right now during this recording, or, be caught on fire due to California, my blood alcohol content. And it was just a much, much deeper perspective on it.
That's cool. That's vindication for me because I've replayed 9 as an adult now after playing it as a kid, and I really enjoyed the story even more as an adult. And Vivi is one of my favorite characters, so that's good to hear. But is that your favorite Final Fantasy game, or do you have another one that's actually your favorite?
Are we going to define what a Final Fantasy is? Like a numbered title or anything with Final Fantasy?
Anything with Final Fantasy.
Well, then it's going to be the Me and Hazard Final Fantasy Tactics podcast.
Yes. I don't think I've ever met anyone who's played all of them and doesn't think Tactics is the best one. But
Yeah,
I digress.
Tactics is incredible, and Delita, even though I'm a big Ramza fan, Delita is the best character that Square Enix has ever made.
Beowulf would disagree, but fuck you.
Oh, you mean that guy in that side quest that you don't even...
I don't know. I like him.
Anyways, Final Fantasy Tactics, good. Final Fantasy VIII, bad, because I have to take my cheap shots of that game.
And what do you think is the worst Final Fantasy, and why is it Final Fantasy 12?
Oh, God, 12. You mean Star Wars
So fucking
redone?
bad.
Oh, Shadow, are you going to
I
sit for
disliked you there
this?
for a moment when you
Come
took
on,
up
defend it.
Final Fantasy VIII, which is
So-
actually a good game.
Final Fantasy XII could have been good. The Gambit system had a lot of merit to it, but the problem is they didn't let you go far enough with it, but they also didn't take enough of the burden off of it with you. I want to be able to go, okay, if you're poisoned, use an antidote. If you're silenced, use an echo down. And you could do that, but you can't do everything all at once on the characters you want, and you can't make it as explicit. And like, the more you know about programming and things like that,
see-
it's like, well, shit, if I could just fucking use Python here, I could just fucking win every single fucking battle. But no, you only have 8 goddamn gambits you could do for that character.
So this is the weird thing about FF12 is that, like people that don't know programming complain that Gambit system is too complicated. And then the other side of the spectrum, people like you saying the Gambit system is too restrictive.
It's
And
this uncomfortable middle ground.
It really is, but I think it's the best. It's still the best sort of implementation of auto battling with your team. Like, and I say this, I said this before, but like FF12's boss battles feel more like a preparation fight. Like, how in FFBE we spent like an hour gearing people and reading up on the wiki and preparing for the boss. All the FF12 end bosses feel like that because you have to prepare your gambit specifically for certain things that happen in those bosses. And for some reason, I enjoy that sort of gameplay where you have a plan, you go in with your plan, and if your plan gets fucked, that's when you need to implement your own decisions. So it's like that's I guess I understand that sort of complaint because I felt that too. I felt the gambit system. If I could put a loop on this somewhere, yes, give me a fucking loop.
Hold
and
on,
I'll
why
kill this shit.
You didn't need to
But-
prepare. You could still control all of your characters as if it was a turn-based game. So why would you use gambits for bosses?
Hold on now.
I don't think
Yes,
you
you
can
can.
in 12.
I don't know what
Yes, you
happened
can.
here.
You-
I don't know what
you
happened
absolutely
here, but I disconnected for a second when TomAto was talking about Delita, and when I came back, Shadow was talking about Final Fantasy 12 somehow. How did you guys devolve into this nonsense?
Oh, I asked Tomato what the worst Final Fantasy game was.
And he obviously
good,
said
okay.
12.
I didn't say 12, but I don't like 12. The other problem I had with 12 is I didn't really get into the end game because I'm like, I'm just going to do this one like tower area, and they're like, oh well, you can't go back after you do this. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I'll just go after that. And then I beat the game. I was like, oh, all right, I don't care anymore.
But which do you think is worse, 2 or 12?
So, God, they're both bad.
They're all not as bad as like
What?
8 or 3.
No, come
Just
on.
saying.
Okay.
No, 3 is revolutionary for what it did with the job system. It's just the problem is it was such a pain in the ass punishing gameplay wise. But if you were actually soften the game up, it'd be pretty decent. 2 introduced a lot of just random ass mechanics and changed a ton of shit everywhere. But it did introduce most of the staples of the Final Fantasy series of your summons, Sid, chocobos, etc. So a lot of what we consider Final Fantasy actually came from 2 and not from 1.
Checkmate, atheist.
2 was the first one with the named protagonist. So fuck everyone that hates 2.
Yeah, and by the way, I did not know Maria was from Final Fantasy 2. I thought she was some FFBE original throwaway character, and then I read her bio, and I'm like, oh yeah, she is from Final Fantasy 2.
Yeah, her
Same
sprite's
as, Paul.
freaking awful, though. It's like one of the worst sprites in the game.
Isn't one of the friend units from
Yeah,
like
Paul.
2 or 3?
Oh, it's
And then,
Paul?
yeah, and King Giat and Sarah.
There's
Sarah's
like-
from 1.
Anna...
Sarah's
Sarah.
the one I was
Yeah.
thinking of.
There's an
I
old
guess there's a
dude,
few.
Anastasis or something. He's also from a different Final Fantasy. I can't remember which one. Hold on. I will find
Does
it.
sound familiar.
Anastasis.
He's from 12, of course, the shit
Uh-huh.
game. That's why we don't know him.
Oh,
Wait,
Also,
shit.
Final Fantasy 12 naming all their airships after espers instead of not having the real espers. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
And the Espers were renamed into something completely different.
Yeah, it's like whoever
Well,
made Final Fantasy
if you're talking
12
about
just didn't like
espers and
Final Fantasy. Like, I think it was a person, I don't know, I mean, Shadow usually knows these things, but it was probably someone who never played a Final Fantasy. It was like this random dude at Square Enix, and he thought he's going to make his own legacy of like doing, because isn't it also, because it's also supposed to be playing out in Ivalice, right? And it reminds you
Yeah,
nothing
it
of
is.
fucking
Yeah, so I was
Final
gonna say-
Fantasy Tactics, and I was so disappointed. I literally like took my CDs out of my PlayStation and took a shit on them because the game was so terrible.
Come on. All right, but the best part about 12 was that you got a little bit more lore about the Zodiac Braves and the Lucavi. I think that was cool. They
I'm just
kind of
gonna-
expanded on that
Yeah, but
concept a
poorly,
little bit.
like not in theme.
I'm just gonna put it-
They did it, but like it felt like they're just trying to remake or redo.
But the whole point of the Ivalice
Shadow's not allowed
Ivalice
to
Alliance
talk.
games was that they weren't telling the story of each other, right? Like Vagrant's story doesn't expand on Final Fantasy Tactics, but it's still set in the same place, quote unquote. The whole point of the Ivalice Alliance was that they're referencing the same world but telling different stories.
Yeah, but in a
it.
different way too.
Right.
That's my biggest problem. It's not that, like, I would have expected to recognize at least the world building of what they did in Final Fantasy Tactics, but Final Fantasy 12 has much more in common with Final Fantasy Tactics Advance than it does with Final Fantasy Tactics when it comes to world building.
Also,
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 12 was created by Hiroki Ito, who also is the creator of Final Fantasy 9. So the 9 and 12 were
And
created
that's
by
so
the same
weird. He,
director.
he
And
had to
I-
have been
evidently,
drunk when he did Final Fantasy 12.
I think a lot of people don't realize just how different each Final Fantasy really is. Because I know we think of 4 and we think of 6, and they're very similar. But if you look at Final Fantasy 2, how weird that is, and then you look at Final Fantasy 12, 13, 15, those are all very different from one another. So it's not kind of the same sort of Dragon Quest reiteration, and there's nothing wrong with that, certainly, because all the Dragon Quests are good, whereas half the Final Fantasies are bad. But they really are quite different from one another outside of a few, couple of links and a few games that are kind of cookie cutter similar.
But at the
Which I
same
appreciate.
time, I think the Square Enix has a harder job with Final Fantasy than other franchise developers because they designed themselves into a corner where every single Final Fantasy game has a different battle system, different world, and they have to create a fresh new game every single time. Now, obviously, there are similar things like SIDS, Chocobos, and stuff like that, but they've basically created 15 different worlds, but they're all under the same umbrella. If you really think about I mentioned this before, other AAA developers, they make like 1 to 3 different worlds, and then they just keep expanding on that. Nobody has to make a clean slate every single Final Fantasy game, which I think
Yeah.
is a really difficult job.
And no one is asking for a different Final Fantasy each time either. So I don't know
Yeah,
why they do
because
that.
also I think you guys are being a bit unfair, or not unfair, but you're like, it's not quite true that they keep reinventing themselves either, because when they released 12, they came from a long ass period of identical Final Fantasies. So starting with, let's say 6, so let's ignore, or let's say 4, and we ignore 5 existed. Like all of them are, or actually let's include 5. All of them are mechanically identical. Like I mean,
No, look at 8
yeah,
and
but
their
that's just a
junction
tiny
system.
tweak. I mean, I'm
5's
talking
job
about
system is a throwback to
7
3.
and their materia
no, but it's
system.
tiny
like,
tweaks.
what you're saying
it's
is
a
that they're-
turn-based battle system with an overworld, and you're talking to NPCs. Like 99% of the game is the same, and then you have like these tiny mechanical changes. Like you have to press R1 when Squall hits an enemy in Final Fantasy VIII, and you have to pull magic, which sucks so much balls. It's weird.
And you should never level your characters because it puts you at a disadvantage.
But the thing is, like, they are the same.
oh, fuck the GF system.
So what happened with 12 is that they came from like these games that are identical, and then they did something thematically and mechanically different, and it was also bad.
How is it thematically
Because
different?
again, like it's more of a Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced. Like look at all the other games.
You still run around the world gathering your MacGuffin to go defeat an evil
but
empire.
Well, the thing about 12 is that it doesn't tell a story of a chosen hero trying to save the world. It tells of a bunch of people trying to save the world, yes, but they're not chosen people. They're literally outcasts.
Well,
So I think-
who's chosen in any Final Fantasy game? Like, there's no chosen one.
Well,
that
just
I can
think
think
about
of.
think about Squall. Like Squall isn't.
No,
really
use Cloud as an example. It's
he's-
gonna be
with
better.
the whole flashbacks here. Cloud's even a better example. He's a literal clone of Zack in a certain way, and it's somehow tangentially related to Sephiroth as some sort of brother, and that it sets up for the two protagonists as like a setup for the main antagonist, and they like duke it out. It's like a classic RPG thing: the chosen one versus the big evil bad guy.
All right, I
So
gotta do
Cloud-
timeout. I gotta do a timeout because all I don't want to do is ask Tomato a question, and now we're on this insane tangent
We'll
for like
go
the
all
last
night.
20 minutes. And it could go all night, and we can save some of it for after talk. But I think we should loop back real quick so that the people who don't have bleeding ears at this point, we can wrap it up for them. So we asked about your favorite Final Fantasy game, your least favorite Final Fantasy game. What was the thing that I want to ask you? What the thing you enjoyed most about Post-Bowl Depression was, and what was the thing you least liked about it?
It's almost one and the same. It was that committing on a personal level to that weekly schedule. It was both sort of invigorating, as in like, oh yeah, I got to get this done. I got to get it. I got to do it. And then it's like, oh holy shit, I have to get this done. I have to do it. And it was a good outlet for my insanity, really. Because where else am I really going to bitch about different Final Fantasy games other than on a podcast with crazy people like you, and then the guy at Wendy's.
Right. I was going to say we feel your pain on the weekly schedule thing, that we feel obligated to do this, and one of the reasons that we have no interest in monetizing this is because it already feels kind of like a job sometimes, and I don't want it to feel more like a job. But you had recurring stuff, like you had Merc Ramza, for example, was like a recurring character in your monologues.
Good old meme Ramza and the CG Nicole going at it. Yeah.
There's just so much stuff that was created from that I think the community has really appreciated, and like some of the jokes hit, some of them don't. Or there's just different audiences that can appreciate different things that you've done. So I did want to say thank you for the 3 years of hard work that you've done. I don't think we'll last 3 years. I don't know. I don't know if the game will be dead in 3 years or not, but it's quite a feat to do that every week. So what's 52 times 3? Where's my math nerds?
156.
156? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Dream was the slowest because he had to do it in a spreadsheet, but everyone else was fast.
Yeah. But that's a whole lot of content. So, I really appreciate what you've done for the community on that. And I hope, maybe we'll get some new series that.
Yeah, there will be a few more. I'm certainly still posting. I'm doing a recap of the season 3 story. Mostly my drunk commentary as I play through it.
I still feel that you need to be drunk in order to read
sorry.
it, right?
It's getting slightly better.
But you
I
still
do
need to
also
be
feel-
drunk, just less drunk.
Like you're basically the first comment on every Reddit post ever made. Like you're always, for some reason, always on Reddit, always ready to to do the next post.
Don't comment too much on the main post pages. The daily help thread, I'm in there a lot, and then of course, good old FFBE blog.
Yeah, you said you had maybe a question or two from that the FFBE blog wanted to ask us. Is that true?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, let's make some up.
No, I have it right here from.
I've got the thread here as
why
well.
a
Actually.
podcast? Does it actually help anyone?
It's
no,
real.
and
No, it does not.
No.
No.
Why a podcast? Because it's
We
the
like
thing
to
that
hear ourselves
requires
talk.
well, it's the thing that requires the least amount of preparation, and we can BS the most on.
Pretty
People
much.
listen once and don't pick it apart, but if you put it in a Reddit post, people can pick it apart forever. So it's more of an
And you put it
entertainment
on
thing.
YouTube as a video, people know who you are. So there's the level of anonymity still here.
Yeah, I think it's just for us. It was fun, a fun idea that I mean I had for years before we actually started doing this. But the idea of just friends who got together and talked about FFBE and just kind of shot the breeze about it. It wasn't meant to be instructional or informational necessarily. It was meant to be more for fun. Obviously, the weekly schedule and the release necessitates some commentary on each of those things. So it is kind of informative by just by natural consequence. But it was always intended to be just have fun and hopefully provide that fun so the listeners who are in their cars or doing whatever can feel like they're a part of that experience and feel like they've got a community as they're playing the game. So that was kind of at least my original intention with the podcast and why I chose the podcast format.
And where do floating magic babies come from?
That is a
They
question
come
you have
from
to
floating
ask the
rainbow
game
crystals.
and whoever's fevered dream mind this whole season came out of.
so listen, do we
I
have
really
like,
wanna know
floating
who
magic
came up with the
characters in
season
FFB?
because,
Could we,
goodness.
try to figure out whose baby it is?
Terra's,
Soul floats?
Soul?
Terra and
I
Souls.
mean, it is also
There
a
we go.
very powerful magical baby.
There you go. There's your fanfic, Barros.
It is also now an Onion Knight.
All right, I guess one final one. What would actually make you guys quit?
Oh,
Quit the game or quit the podcast?
Yeah.
The game.
I don't know. I've been on the edge since NV came out, to be honest. So I don't know how much
I know what
would
would
cause
make
it.
Hazard quit. CG Marchie.
No, actually, I think that would be kind of cool.
You too?
Because
He is
I
just
think-
that desperate, okay?
Well-
This is the sound of a desperate man.
no, because I think that
Stockholm
all
syndrome.
FFBs that haven't been represented yet should have representation, and Mont Blanc would be really cool to have as a character, and Ritz.
What if they said that this was representation for all of the tactics games and that there wasn't going to be another one?
Once again, I would add it to my lawsuit for a direct assault on my person. But I don't know. I mean, I think the game will die someday, or my interest will die in the game someday. But I think that the podcast actually has helped keep me more focused and keep me more motivated to keep playing when I might not have done so for this long. So I think as long as the podcast is interesting and as long as the drama around the game is at least as interesting as the game, I think we'll probably continue.
Wait, when has the podcast ever been interesting?
I know,
Also,
right?
Hazard, are you saying that like
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know
but
what he's
Hazard,
talking
you better
about.
make sure you don't quit. If Hazard quits a game, we're gonna
yeah,
kick him
and
off
also
the
like
podcast.
Hazard, are you saying you're gonna quit the game
Yeah.
when Gumi cleans up their act?
No, that's never going to happen. So
So the shit show they put on every week is part of the reason why I'm still interested. I'm like, what are they going to do now? I honestly, I love the dumpster fire they make. This whole
And
gill
now-
snapper drama from last week.
The
I'm
$1
sitting
million
there with
question now is:
popcorn.
do you think
like,
they know?
I don't know. That's kind of the fun about it is do they
they-
realize how dumb they are? I don't know.
They have to be secret masochists at this point because they could do so many good things. Like they'll just drop like a update to the Trust Coin shop and then not say anything about it. It's like, well, why don't they say, hey, you know what we're going to do? That's going to be really cool next update, and then they do it. So like, oh yeah, we just did that for you, but whatever, we're not going to say anything.
It's funny they don't announce the
they-
bad things and they don't announce the good things. They're just it's just non-communicative.
I feel like that's a sound of an understaffed team. Just from like looking at it from
yeah.
the outside, it just looks like an understaffed team. That's all it is.
Well, we know they are. But anyways, to answer your question, I have no idea. And what would make us quit? I don't know. I have no idea what would make us quit. But we should probably quit this episode. So we wanted to thank TomAto for coming on today again. And, maybe we'll do another one in the future with you. We're always looking for
Anytime
more
you're
guests.
desperate, I'll be your booty call.
Yeah, we...
We've already got Sinzar on speed dial.
But it's okay. If Sinzar says no, you're our second choice.
Sloppy seconds.
Wow. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Talk to you later.
See ya.
Good night.